Welcome to the Motivational Medium podcast. I'm Anne-Marie Lord, a psychic medium, author, and the founder of the Motivational Medium Academy. On this podcast, we'll explore intriguing topics such as mediumship, psychic abilities, and the amazing idea that we all have intuition within us. Whether you're a believer, skeptic, or somewhere in between, get ready to unlock your extraordinary potential as we discover the supernatural world together. If you want your questions featured on the show, be sure to join my tribe by subscribing to my newsletter at annemarielord.com. Let's go. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the podcast. I wanted to share something with you today, and it happens during my live events, my live mediumship platform events. When I do the mediumship events, what we do is I do some mediumship, some readings, connect with your loved ones in spirit. We have such an amazing, uplifting experience that I bring the whole audience in. And what happens in the second half of the event is I open the floor up for people to ask questions. And some of the questions that people ask me are really, how can I put this? It's like, I'm a big believer that we know the answers. We just don't know how to tap into the answers or how to believe in our inner knowing or our higher self. So let me explain. So say someone asks me a question. What I do is I tap in to my higher self. I tap into their energy. I go into their aura. I psychically connect with them. And I believe that they can psychically connect with themselves. So that's how I get my answers, what it is that they ask. I get my answers from connecting with their energy. However, I honestly believe that everyone can do this. And it's like when you connect with somebody's energy, it's like an inner knowing that the answers are there. And sometimes I'll even say, I know that, like, I know my name's Anne-Marie. And I would love people to be able to do this for themselves. Now, okay, people might say, you've been doing this for years and it takes lots and lots of experience. And what takes the experience more than anything is the confidence to stick within that knowing. So, you may have seen John Edwards' work, or you may have even seen me work. I often say that I'll stick with something. If I honestly believe something is right, I will stick with it. And you'll guarantee 9 times out of 10, it will be right. So this isn't an ego thing. This is a belief in my inner knowing. And I want to teach you guys how to do that today because, we ask ourselves questions, but what happens again is if you ask that thought to yourself, then the conscious mind, I believe, kicks in with the worry, the trying to protect us, trying to keep us safe. And then we go on a tangent of what's going on around us and we never get the right answers. Whereas if you know your inner knowing and you can connect with your higher self, you will know what you feel and what you understand to get the answers. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes when I sit alone, I like my own space sometimes, and I sit by myself and I think about things that are going on, maybe in my world or in my family's world. And sometimes the inner knowing that I get, maybe it's going to be okay, or this can happen or that can happen, or it may even get the answer that this isn't the right time for this journey to finish. There's still more learnings to be received from this journey. Now, no matter what it is, that can send us into a spiral of either worry or non-belief. So let me try and explain this even more. If you are thinking about something, and I'll take you on a little journey later on in this podcast, a little guided meditation that you can use for yourself. Now, it mightn't come to you straight away, the answer, because this is the first time you're doing it. So your conscious mind will want to kick in to make it a safe environment for you, if you like. So let me try and explain again. I get all confused here. So let me try and explain this in simple terms. When I ask a question, or I sit in silence, or I sit in prayer, because this is what I call it my prayers. So I pray to my higher self because I believe our higher selves know the answers to everything. I believe they know how to resolve situations. I believe our higher self knows what's coming. That's why people get a strange sensation when they meet people, or if they're in an environment, or, you hear of people being in a situation and they say, I just knew that was going to happen. And that's because the inner knowing knows more than your conscious mind will ever know. So say, for instance, you sit in silence and you ask a question. It could be like, will I get the job that I've just applied for? Now, straight away, before your conscious mind will try to protect you by saying, well, it'll be okay if you don't, or, maybe it wasn't the right job for you. So what I want you to do when you sit with this meditation, it's only a very quick meditation and it's a connection and prayer to your higher self. I want you to practice this. So keep hold of this episode of this podcast and play it again and again and again on this section of the prayer section. And what you can do is you'll start to notice that when your higher self will give you guidance, at first it might just be a yes or a no. And I want you to accept that, say thank you. But I want you to become aware of your body, aware of, did you think that? Did you hear that? Did you feel that? This is going to become your go-to, really, your trigger for what is right. So taking you back a little bit, when I do my readings, and this isn't an egotistical thing, even though I'm not totally against ego, I think ego gets us out of bed. It's just when the balance of ego is off, you either have too much or too less, then that's when the problems come in. But that's a whole new podcast. So let me go back. Now, when I ask people questions, or I'm doing a reading for somebody, whether it be a one-to-one or in an audience, and they say to me, no, that doesn't make sense, I will know that inner feeling because I've become so used to what it feels like. I will know whether I'm with that person or whether I've got the right information, and I will stick with it. And as I say, 9 times out of 10, it will be correct. Because I listen to my feelings, I listen to the thoughts that come in, but I call a collective of all this an inner knowing. So as I say, I want you to think, so if you've got a question or something going on within your life at the moment, I want you to find a nice quiet space. Now, if you're driving with this, come back to the podcast later on and let's do this together. If you can't think of a question, then come back to it later on. But what I want you to do is when you do come back, I want you to find just a space where you won't be disturbed. And this is about something that I would like you to do nearly every day, really, if you can, because it's only a very quick thing, but it's connecting you with your inner knowing. You will get your answers. You will see signs that are shown to you, which will guide you in that direction. Once your inner knowing becomes aware of what you need to do and in what direction you need to go in, you will be shown, maybe through your RAS system. If you've read my book, you know all about the RAS system, the reticular activating system that's in the brain that helps us see more of what we emotionally attach ourselves to. So let's simplify this. If it's an important question, which obviously it is to you, I want you to sit in prayer. You can call it prayer or call it what you like, meditation, but you are connecting with your higher self. And you're going to ask your higher self this question. And then you're not going to consciously give yourself an answer. You're just going to sit with it. And you're going to allow the thoughts to just drop in. Just like you're sitting on the side of a road and you watch the cars go past, you're not going to pay attention to the cars. You're just going to be aware that they're there. And I want you to be consciously aware of what you feel. And write it down. Create a journal by doing this. so you'll be able to see how far you've come. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you ready, and I want you to sit somewhere nice and comfortable. As I say, if you're driving or you're listening to this on your drive to work, or if you're in work or wherever you are, even if you're walking, you could do this, because you could do it as a walk-in meditation. But if you're driving, I would say, or using machinery, then I wouldn't do this. Come back to it later on. Okay, so I'm going to imagine that you're finding a space to sit and relax. So I want you to just put your feet flat on the floor, keep your head straight, and I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And remember, you're setting the intention to connect with your higher self. It's accessible to every single one of us, but it's a sense we very rarely tap into, knowing what we're doing. It's there all the time and it's trying to guide us, but we consciously don't set the intention to tap in. So just become relaxed, conscious of your breathing, and watch how your breathing starts to slow and goes into a beautiful, gentle rhythm. Now I would like you to just place your hand on your heart and give gratitude that you're here doing this. And think of one amazing thing you have in your life. It could be a person, it could be a situation. And I want you to be so grateful. Feel that gratitude go through your body. So, so grateful. It could even be the breath that you're breathing, or the chair that you're sitting on. And now, with this beautiful, loving energy of gratitude, I want you to ask your higher self to give you some guidance within this situation. Ask within the next few days to be shown guidance and to be shown a way that this situation can be resolved or brought into your view, so you no longer have to worry about it. I want you to sit here for a little while. Listen to the music that's played in the background. And if your mind drifts off, I want you to bring it back to all your senses. Your inner knowing, your feeling, your visions that get dropped into the mind. Not conscious thoughts, just little gentle visions of how this situation can be resolved. It may be that this situation is not to be resolved at this time, and there is still some learnings to come from this situation. And we've also got to accept that too. But this is also a chance for us to grow and for us to learn and for us to gain insight and knowledge into what is best for us on this journey. Now sit here in silence for a moment, or if you're walking, walk in the silence. Now you've had a minute and a half to sit in the silence. I would like you to gently be aware of what you felt, what thoughts dropped into your mind. Don't overanalyze them, don't try to overthink them. Just be aware of them. And if you have a journal, I would like you to gently, in this energy, open your eyes, pick up your pen, and write down your feelings. What did you see? What did you feel? What was your inner knowing? And remember, don't overanalyze. That's the conscious mind trying to keep you straight and safe. This is the inner knowing. Your higher self has the key to all the answers. If it helps, you can imagine that the inner knowing is a ball of beautiful white energy that sits just above your head. And you can send energy from your heart up to this ball of white light to connect. This journey, my friend, is about you. And sit and pause this if you like, and sit in this energy for as long as you wish. But when you decide to open your eyes and come back, then pick up your journal and write, and notice how you feel. This is you connecting to your higher self, your inner knowing, your inner power. And my friend, that has all the answers. And I'll leave you here. Namaste, my friends. Well, my friend, I hope you enjoyed that gentle connection with your higher self. Write yourself some questions and work on one at a time. This will help you know and feel and get used to your inner knowing, like you know, like you know, like you know. I hope you've enjoyed this. Save this podcast episode to return back to anytime you like. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget, subscribe and share with your friends. I'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this show. It's important to note that while I'm here to inspire, encourage and guide you, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist or a doctor. Join me again in 2 weeks for more captivating revelations on the supernatural. Remember to be in with a chance to have your questions answered on the podcast. Subscribe to my newsletter at amarylord.com. Stay in the tribe to vibe. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.